When getting students to write, one of the hardest things to really teach them is how to get in there and revise and make sure they're doing it properly. As a teacher, you may have 100 plus students, and making sure they've made significant changes and not just enough to keep you off their backs, but actually making the changes they need to do so that their writing is better. Teaching that is very difficult. I'm Chris Coffey, Instructional Technology Coach for Bamberg School District 1, and we're continuing the video series Microsoft Word 2010 Features to Improve Student Writing. For those of you who are a little bit hesitant still to grade in the digital format, I'm hoping that this feature will push you over the edge and really get you to try it. So the first thing you're going to do, you're going to collect the rough draft from the student, and then you're going to go through and you're going to mark it up just like you would any other paper. And I do have videos on this if you're interested. But I can come in here, I'm reviewing the paper, so I'm going to be in the review tab. I can add comments if I'm typing in the right place. There we go. Computer's acting up on me. So I can do that. I can add all kinds of comments. So I've graded. Again, if you have the option to start inking, which you do if you have a touch screen or a tablet or of any kind, or if you really want to get into advanced features, you can make it happen. I'm actually on a desktop computer without a touchscreen right now, so it's actually working still for me. It just takes a little bit of manipulation to make that work. But I've got videos if you want to learn how to mark this up better. I've done that. Let's say I've graded the whole paper. Now I'm ready to send it back so the student will make revisions. I'm going to make sure I'm in the review tab. This is so easy. All I have to do is click track changes, and I can then save it and send it to the student. And again, in our district, we use email, we use My Big Campus. You could use Insight in the computer lab, although that works better with big groups. So email or My Big Campus would be your best ways to send this back to the student. If you're using Outlook, you can set up the quick access toolbar to include email, and then you can just click it and it will, see if I can pull it up. It's probably going to pull up on my second screen. It will automatically put the document into an email, and then all you have to do is enter your student, and of course while I'm videotaping, my computer's going slow. You can do that and you can send it off to the student that quickly. Works really well. Now when the student gets it, I am now the student. I've opened this document up. I see the things that need changing. One of the things I would suggest you do with them is take a minute in class and tell them what you're doing. So let them know you're tracking their changes, and also show them when they're working on it to go from final show markup, and we call this the display for view. You see it pop up there. Change it from final show markup to final. And now they don't have those things, and they can go back and forth and look at that with no problem. So in this case, I'm going to tab over, and if I go to show markup, it's going to, over here, show me that I formatted, that I did indent the first line. So I can go through and see all of these things that I've done. Inserting will underline by default. Deleting will strike through. If I needed to move a sentence, make sure you include the entire sentence. And I'll give you this as an example. I'm going to move that entire sentence. It will do a double strike through to show where it was, and a double underline to show you where it's been moved to. And if you hover over it, it will actually show you who changed it and when they changed it. And that's really useful if you have students who are collaborating. So I've got all this stuff, like I said, in final show markup. Little messy, little distracting. I probably want to work on it here. Something that I meant to show you just now, if I only move one word instead of a whole sentence, it considers that to be deleted. and it considered it inserted here. I also have lines over here to show where things have been inserted. So if I started a new paragraph, and again, I know this is just gibberish, but you can see lines have been added. And so as the teacher, I know, okay, I need to focus on this. So I get all this stuff back as the teacher. I can see it. Again, reading the final draft, I'm probably want to go to final as well. But let's say I'm having a conference with the student and I want to discuss that student's writing. Well, it's easy enough. I can just go from final to original. And this is what it looked like originally. And this is what the final draft looked like. And if it's something that, still needs work, we can still go in and continue to make changes. It will continue to track. Now, other parts of this, as far as tracking changes, you have the option to accept or reject changes. So let me go back to the final show markup. Scoot this over a little bit. And I'm looking for things that were changed. So I can click on anything that's been changed. Sorry, my screen's a little small. Notice the formatted is darker, so it's actually on that change right now. I can choose to accept or reject it. In this case, I'm going to accept it. Okay, notice it goes away. It assumes that is final. We don't need to look at the markup. It's good. Let's say, however, that this sentence being moved. Let's say I don't like it. I thought the sentence was good right where it was at. I can reject it. And I'll do that one again just to show you. It takes it from where it was moved to and puts it back. So I'm going to reject that change, and it takes care of both the fact that it was moved from here to another place. Same thing, anything that was added or changed, I can say reject this. I can say accept this. And I can go through randomly, or if you notice, as I'm accepting and rejecting, it's moving on to the next part, the next change. So you can choose what to accept and reject and those kind of things. So very useful for a teacher. You're going through, you want to make sure certain things were changed properly. And I also, as the teacher, can look and say, okay, well, was anything changed here? No, there's really nothing changed there. So that one's still a problem. The indent, was it fixed? Yes, it was. So instead of having to have two papers in front of me, the original draft where I wrote by hand, and then the final draft where I'm double checking. Again, with 100 students, that's or more, that's almost impossible to do this level of comparison. So that is an option. You can check, you can go previous, next, but just accept and reject those changes. Now, a couple other quick little bonus features that I think are really cool. Let's say you don't care about certain changes. Well, in track changes, before you turn it on, go into the change tracking options, and you'll get this little pop-up box, and you can say, okay, I'm looking for markup areas, insertions. That's anything they type in. It's not just inserted objects or anything. Anything they type new is going to be underlined, and it's going to be underlined with the color of the author when it says by author. If you know it's only one student, or you want to designate a color for a student, then you can just change the color. Same thing, you can change the color for pretty much anything that it's showing. Deletions are strike through, but let's say instead of insertions underlined, I want insertions to be bold and the color, or go through and play with the different options to fit your needs. Here are the changing lines, the outside bars that I showed you earlier. You may not care if something's moved, or if it's moved, instead of seeing two double lines where it was moved and where it was put both in green, something that I would suggest doing is taking that one and turn it to 25% gray. But you play with it and find what works well for you. You may not care if they change the formatting, so font size or the font itself. So you can take that one off. You can play with this any number of ways. You have a lot of options here. So now I'm going to make sure track changes is still on. And now this time when I move, notice by changing that to a lighter gray, I can still see it was there, but it doesn't distract me as much, and also I can see where it was placed in that green. So play with the colors, play with what the changes look like, but all of these can become very distracting for students and for the teachers grading. So feel free to go back and forth between the final and the final show markup. If you're reading and grading in the final and you say, you know what, this just doesn't seem right, you may want to look at the show final markup and say, okay, I think he moved a sentence or she moved a sentence that they really didn't need to. So that's an option. The final thing I'm going to show you very quickly is under the track changes, change username. Now, if you are emailing the document back and forth, it will do this for you automatically. Whoever is set up will show up. So if I made a comment in someone else's writing, it would show Chris Coffey. But for this example, I'm going to say student 1, this one. Obviously, the students would put their names. And okay, as student 1, I want to insert something. And I'm just going to do more gibberish. Now, if you notice, if I hover over this, it says student 1. If I hover over other changes, it says Chris Coffey. So it's showing who is making the changes. So if you have 2 or 3 students on a computer, they could go back and forth, take turns, or maybe they're working on one document but you have students rotating onto the computer. They could come in here, change their name, and again, you would have to show them how to do this, but once they did it once or twice, it's not hard at all. They change the name, then they come in, write whatever they are supposed to write for their section, and it would show up. So again, if I highlight over it, it's going to show, not even highlight, just hover over it, student 2, and it gives the date and the time. Student 1, here's a change that Chris Coffey made, and it goes all the way back from earlier. And this can be days apart, weeks apart, it doesn't matter. Now for some projects that are collaborative, you may want to use something like Google Docs where the students can see what's changing in real time. Other times you want the students to take turns and kind of review each other's. Same thing with comments as with adding text. If I add a comment right now, I think I'm in there as student 2. Yes, and it says S2 for student 2, comment 3. And notice it's a different color compared to Chris Coffey. So you can do this, and there are times where you will want to do this. You decide what works best for you. For a lot of projects, Microsoft Word really is the way to go. It's a great way to grade. Hopefully track changes is something that has made you excited about grading the writing assignments digitally instead of printed out. But if you have any questions or comments, please email me at ccoffee@bamberg1.net.